it matter? Hello, everybody. Yay! And welcome to the April 2022 GGDA meeting, first in-person meeting of the year. Hurrah! There you go. Now you out there in live streaming land can hear it. Hi, everyone in live streaming land. Thanks for joining us. Sorry you're not here at Skillshot for the incredible tour of all the facilities, the incredible place, and the incredible pizza, and more. Oh, and especially the incredible camaraderie from your peers in the industry. Making on out. Great conversations here today on esports, game dev, and more already. And more to come. We plan on having another live event in May. Location still TBD. We're doing an online event April 23rd on level design. We've announced Shane Canning from Ratchet & Clank and the Amazing Spider-Man as our keynote speaker for the event. So make sure to tune in on the YouTube channel that day. We'll be discussing Unity, Unreal, and more. And the plan right now for the second Tuesday in May is to have challenge people to make their own levels and come out and show them off. We're just not sure where yet. So we have that together. We'll give you the details and get you to join us. But tune in April 23rd on our channel. We were supposed to have an announcement for the Indie Cluster, but I do not see an Indie Cluster representative here yet. So we might do that later on. With that, I'm going to be very glad to introduce our first speaker of the night. We are here at Skillshot Media, an amazing location in uptown Atlanta, where you all should be. And Todd Harris has been involved in the game industry for 1 or 2 days. Okay, going back to the great successes of Hi-Rez Studios and the incredible games like Smite, Paladins, now Rogue Company, and of course, the best game they ever did, Global Agenda, of course, because that was the one that I did work on. So, but yes, we're seeing more and more of their great games coming up. But Todd's no longer there. Todd has gone on to do Skillshot. So he made esports an incredible success. Our first esports event, I believe, is our 2012 Siege, where Todd said it's going to be great. We're going to bring all these folks from the Creatures and others to come play our game that is not yet released and we think won't crash. And he told me that, I think, at the start of Siege. So we had 3 days to put it on, but he packed a ballroom with hundreds and hundreds of people out of nowhere for it. And amazing numbers, amazing success for it. And the game crashed, but only because one person tried to force it to do things it wasn't supposed to do. Otherwise, worked perfectly. And yeah, that was I'd already loved esports, but that was my first entree into the actual events. And that was amazing that Todd could literally pull a several hundred person event out of his back pocket in about 3 days. And yeah, we're about to do it again with the CCEC. I'm going to let Todd talk to you about the CECC, the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. Let that be part of his conversation. So this presentation is on the growing success of Collegiate Esports. Congratulations, everyone who was at Pantherland. That looked like it was a great event. So great job, all of you out there. But the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup is getting ready to be the largest one in the United States and probably North America. So, Todd, if you'll join us, we'll turn it over to you and let you take it away. We'll be having questions. We'll probably save them for the end. All right, and all right, we'll be interactive and yell at Todd throughout. Here you go.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Skillshot and Ghost. As you're seeing the sausage being made. This is the first, I think, ever someone has spoken on this stage. The atrium that you pass through with the giant LED screen is not officially open for business, but approximately 1 month from now, we think it'll be open, and we're excited to do really hype live esports events and other events in that space. And I think most of you got to go on the tour and see the production studio and the team house and the classroom. If you didn't, if you're here for the second part, we definitely want to make sure if you want to see it, you get to see it. So stick around, and after the programming, we'll stick around and walk you through that space. So yeah, next few minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about esports in general and specifically about collegiate esports, because there's so much happening there. Esports is new, and then collegiate esports is like the way new, like not even first inning yet. So very, very early. And this presentation is brought to you by those two brands below. If you saw the tour and it wasn't clear because there was just a lot of flashing lights and people talking quickly, Skillshot does esports events and makes esports related media, and Ghost is a professional esports team. So the analogy is not exactly perfect, but if you think about basketball, Skillshot is a little bit more like ESPN, sometimes a little bit like the NBA because they organize leagues. Ghost is more like the Hawks in that they actually are playing in competition. The difference is Ghost plays in different games all under the Ghost banner, the same way the Georgia State Panthers play in different games all under that banner. So let's talk about college esports and you. I am not showing the video, but if you happen to be watching the Today Show, if some of you still watch TV, they did do a pretty nice profile on college esports this past Sunday, and it's available online. So a few corrections in their coverage, but at a high level, it was important because, you know, it's the Today Show. It's Sunday morning spotlight, and they're talking about not just esports, but college esports. So it's very much of the moment. I encourage you to check that online. I will not play the video here. Next slide, please. So just so we're all oriented, we'll just start with a working definition of esports, and you may find a different one, but this is the one we're going to go with. It's about as simple as possible. So organized, competitive video games, often played in front of spectators. You might have people debate whether there has to be production values or spectators or not, but that's going to be our working definition of esports, at least for today. So let's go. So why should you care about this at all? So that's what we're going to talk about, why you should care about it and why you should care about collegiate esports, particularly if you're in this region of Georgia and Metro Atlanta. So I'm going to hit it quickly because I think this hopefully covers everyone in the audience. So some of you are game developers. Why should you care about esports? Some of you are gamers. Why should you care? Some of you might be students or educators. Some of you might actually want to work in the esports industry, and then maybe there's some companies from brands or agencies. Why should you care? And I'm going to hit all these really quickly, and then find me later if you have deeper questions, or just raise your hand throughout. And then we're going to give you a free event ticket at the end so you can see an esport event in person. All right, first I'm going to hit why I care. So like Andrew said, I used to work at Hi-Rez Studios, which was amazing. So I co-founded that studio. It started with 4 of us. That company's now 450 people. We made some awesome video games. Anyone play Smite? Paladin? Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was really fun. And great people there, still great people there making great games. And the only types of games that we made were multiplayer competitive games because that's what we enjoyed playing. And there's a lot of things that got me excited about esports, but I'll boil it down to one story. When I was still at Hi-Rez, I was doing things related to Smite, and I talked to a young person by the name of Daniel who was very excited because he was playing Smite for his high school team, earning a varsity letter. And he told me he had never before been able to be attached to his school in the same way. And that's because I came to learn Daniel was in a wheelchair. So he could not play traditional sports. And so for the first time, he could represent his school. And that just crystallized for me what had kind of been obvious, in that esports is the ultimate accessible activity. Whether you're differently abled, whether you're male or female, whether you're built to play, you know, the traditional basketball build or the traditional football build or not. You know, games like hockey, if you don't grow up with an ice rink, you're never going to play. So while there are some access issues still with gaming that we as an industry are working on, it has the potential to really be life-changing for individuals and helpful, I believe, for the world. So that story with Daniel affected me. And at the same time, I just saw the numbers at Hi-Rez. I was like, this gaming thing is not going to stop. Like, I can't tell you what game is going to be popular 3 years from now, but I can tell you more people are going to be playing games. And they're going to be playing them in a structured fashion, and they're going to be wanting to watch other people play games. Of that, I know. So both from a commercial opportunity, business, and also a chance to help the world and kind of build character, I wanted to go all in on this esports thing. So that's what I've done with Skillshot and Ghost. So that's why I care. Let's go back to why you care. If you're a game developer, how many people are makers of games? Okay, awesome. Props to you. It's really hard work to make a video game, especially a successful game. And not all video games are multiplayer, obviously. Not all multiplayer games should be an esport. But if you happen to be making the type of game that is multiplayer and has some competition, you're probably thinking about esports at some level for your community. And we definitely thought about it a lot at Hi-Rez. And you see all these developers like Hi-Rez, like Riot with League of Legends and Epic with Fortnite. They're spending a lot of money on these events. Most of the money in esports comes from the game publisher. Why do they do that? Well, they believe that it has positive return for their main business, which is the game. That's what they believe, and that's what we believed. But how do you know that's true? Like, it could be that we are spending all this money and time on Smite, and more people are watching Smite and they're playing Smite less. Like, that's not the intuition, but it could have been the case. So we said we're actually going to research it because I'm like a data geek. So that's what we did. So number one, if you just look well beyond Hi-Rez, and this was actually back in 2017, of the games that make the most money, that's what 15 highest monetizing games are. 7 back in 2017 also happened to have the most prizing associated with them. So that's just kind of an interesting nugget that has only increased with games like Fortnite. So there's some association there. You don't really know what the cause is, but a lot of these games making a lot of money also have really big esports scenes associated with them. So we said we're going to keep digging in. And so the next slide. And we said we want to do some research on how does watching esports affect playing esports. Next slide. So fortunately, we had an interface between your game account within the game Smite and your Twitch account where most people watch esports happen. And that meant we could look at particular sets of users in Smite and whether they were actually watching esports or not. And we worked with Emory. We worked with 2 PhDs. They spent more than a year on this study, and we could basically look at how their in-game behavior, like what they're doing inside the video game Smite, compared to their viewing habits of watching other people play Smite as an esport. Okay, next slide. And so at the end of the day, we were trying to understand what is actually the effects of watching esports on your play rate and on your in-game spending. We looked at some other things as well, but that's kind of what matters the most if you're a game publisher. And if it does affect behavior, then why? Okay, next slide. And the group, these PhDs, I mean, they're PhDs for a reason. They're pretty smart. So because they couldn't really do like a perfect control study, what they did is they basically looked at when there were 8 weeks of the Smite Pro League, which was kind of the premium esports content, they looked before that period at a group of players, and they kind of segmented that into players that watched esports and those that didn't watch esports. But they went farther than that because it wouldn't really be fair if they weren't like groups. So they started with a group that played the same amount of time and spent the same amount of money like before the Smite Pro League, and then looked at what happened after the Smite Pro League to see was there a difference in behavior from those that watched and those that doesn't. And if anyone's interested, I'll send you the 20-page report, but the punchline, as you can imagine, because it would not be very impressive if they spent less, there was almost 600 more minutes played in average. So not only are they watching esports, they're also playing the game more, not counting their watch time. And on average, during that 8-week period, they spent $5 more. Times a lot of players can be very material. So that was good to see. It kind of backed up our intuition that, yeah, this esports stuff is good. It's a valuable marketing spend. Okay, keep going. So bottom line, they played more, they spent more. By the way, they also won slightly more, not a lot, but they did improve a little bit from watching also. Yeah, question? Right. The question was there increased engagement time? Did that count spectating other people? It did not. That was just an apples to apples of how much are you actually playing the game yourself. But it is a good point. A lot of these games you can, even if you're not watching Twitch, you can spectate other games that are going on. All right. Let's keep going. Hopefully, if you're a developer, that at least piques your interest that maybe there's something to this esports thing. Maybe it's going to help us make more money, drive more engagement, keep our game around longer. All right, next, if you are a gamer, next slide. So some of the things that were highlighted in the Today Show report, which are accurate, are the following. If you're a gamer and you're thinking about the college esports market specifically, number one, it is true that most colleges these days have an esports club. It's usually part of the student union. But you can find that at almost every college right now. There's 200 universities with varsity esports programs. Varsity usually means there's a place on campus to play. There's often a coach who is paid a salary, and oftentimes, not always, there's scholarships. Every year, there's $16 million in esports scholarships given out across the U.S., and we've got many leading programs here in Georgia. Georgia State often gets the accolade because they're on this best list, being in the top 10. But we have many, many programs here in Georgia that are competing at a very high level competitively and also with curriculum and with scholarship. And there's a really big trend in more investment in terms of building facilities. I remember when, I think it was University of California, Berkeley or Irvine, spent $300,000 on an esports facility, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that is jaw-dropping, right? Okay, a month ago, North Carolina State says $16 million, right? So things are definitely escalating quite a bit. All right, that's if you're a gamer. If you're a student or a teacher, I'm going to brag about some of my favorite organizations here. So it used to just be called esports or youth esports, but there's now a term out there called Scholastic Esports, which really gets to the heart of all this for me. And it is video games as a Trojan horse for education and positive student outcomes. So there's a lot of programs out there trying to help young people with job skills, with STEM, and they all are well-intentioned, but they kind of forget the whole like leading a horse to water thing. Like if you don't have the kids' attention, you got nothing. What has the kids' attention? Video games, like nobody's business. It's like video games and then oxygen. So this works really, really well. So next slide, a couple of organizations here. NASIF, the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, is started as a North American group. It's actually global, and they're headquartered in Georgia. As of about a year ago, they moved from California to Georgia, and then NASIF has multiple affiliates all over the world, including our friends at GCEF. Wes, stand up. So Wes, a co-founder of GCEF. So anyone that's interested in getting involved, it's an all-volunteer band. It's great. See Wes or myself, and we'll plug you into GCEF. But we help junior highs and high schools use video games for education. I will play this one video. This is just happens to be interesting. It's not Georgia-based, but it's from one of the largest school districts in the country, Miami-Dade in Florida. And most of this group, you're already converted, but this is useful for old people who are not. So we'll play the video.
Esports is relevant to us because it's relevant to the kids. So if we want to transform transform the American classroom, if we want to make it both rigorous, relevant, but fun, if we want to excite them about their own learning, then let's bring something to them they understand, they navigate well, that adapts to the way they live, the way they entertain themselves, but let's use it as a powerful tool of education. That's why esports speaks loudly to me, because it speaks loudly to them. For those who are somewhat doubtful about the impact of the benefit, speak to their students. Gauge the level of interest and engagement in a traditional classroom where all you do is rote learning, compared to an environment where students can actually navigate an educational space that integrates STEM and STEAM, integrates new technology alongside the necessary standards. And you'll see that their mindset, the way their brains are wired, is compellingly different than the way our very own work. So if we want to maximize learning, understand the brain of a child, understand the way they think, the way they learn, what captivates them today, how connected they are, and then create environments that quite frankly match their own ambitions, and learning will prosper. Parents probably are often concerned about the amount of time that young people are in front of screens, but being engaged from the earlier stage of game development and participation and competition can be productive, can be engaging, can actually boost student achievement. And that's why I believe in it. That's why we have it in our school system.
So all the NASA programming is free. If you're a teacher, if you know teachers, if you're a student, if you think this would be a fit for your program, contact GSEF. Go to the next slide. Or we could just watch it again. Awesome. So for those of you wanting to work in esports, and there's a bunch of great companies here that approach it from different angles, from merchandise to game development to tournament organization, etc. If you're just getting started, and again, I mentioned this on the tour, and this is not the only program in Georgia, there's others as well, but I'll point out the partnership that we have and this facility has with the Georgia Film Academy, which I mentioned to those of you on the tour. So participating Georgia universities, or you don't have to go through a university, you can just do it as a certification without college credit. You can sign up, take a 16-week course, and get hands-on experience with Skillshot, with Ghost, with other industry partners, and emerge with a better chance to work in the industry. And we work really closely with GFA on an internship program. So I don't know, do we have any folks that have come through? Is a Hill in here? He was in here. There you go. There's at least one. So we probably have about 10 individuals, even though we've only been doing this for 3 semesters, that have passed through and are working, particularly at Skillshot or other Georgia locations. And if you can't make the 16 weeks and you want to do it in 1 week because you're a high achiever and you're in junior high or you're high school, we have that. There's 2 one-week day camps that are happening in this facility. You get hands-on, you get to play a little Rocket League at the same time, and there's still openings in those. So that is that. And then for brands and agencies, which I could and have talked for days on, but I won't, I'm just going to show you 2 slides. If you know brands, this is the first one. I love sports. The sports audience is graying, as they say. So this is the average age per traditional sport. For esports, it's higher than most people think, but it's young compared to the others, right? Most of these numbers go up about a year every 2 years. So it is definitely a graying audience. So what if you want to reach the next generation and stay relevant, whether you're trying to hire people, whether you're trying to sell services, sell products? You should look at gaming. You should look at esports. That's where the attention is. Let's go to one more slide, which I think is the final one. So this kind of shows you generationally, which is interesting. I need my little cheat sheet because I keep losing track of who exactly is Gen Z and millennials as I keep going up the ladder. But the big takeaway here is every generation, a higher percentage of that generation is playing games, and their amount of time spent on leisure activity is going more to games as well. right? So if you look at the audience of Gen Z and millennial, which is where many brands are targeting, and particularly if you're looking at the college audience like we're talking about, 8 out of 10 are engaged with gaming today. So that's why you should care about that. I have many more stats if you need them. Let's keep going. All right, we're at the end. You can see all of this for yourself. If you've never been to a live esports event, that's the best way to understand it and see the passion level. And we're fortunate because Atlanta in general had a lot of opportunity to host events. Then COVID happened, things have been very quiet, and now the industry is just opening up again. And Atlanta and many partners candidly took a huge chance hosting this event and saying, we're just going to do it, and we're going to do it in May. We had to talk with every major publisher to make sure they were comfortable doing it. We had to find a venue, and candidly, an event like this we'd normally plan for a year, and we're doing it in about a month. So I need your help to get the word out and come and make it awesome for Atlanta and for our college community. So this event is really 3 days of activities, so put it on your calendar. On May 6th, there's more of just a networking business event. There will be no esports. This will be at our friends at Access Replay, which is Allie's new location right by Georgia Tech. It'll be a chance to gather, talk about esports, meet some of the college coaches who are coming in from all over the country, more of a vibe of this sort of thing, not video games and stands and productions, but through Andrew, we will get an invitation out to this group. And then on Saturday and Sunday, live esports action, 10 hours at Gateway Arena. So that is a big event. There's never been an event like this where this is really, I call it May Madness, right? It's 64 teams from all over the U.S. battling in 4 of the most popular games here in Atlanta, right? So that's what we're going to make happen. Let's go to one more slide. So all the collegiate roads around the U.S. are leading to Atlanta. They're leading to Gateway. You can see some of the partners that are involved, some of who I shouted out in here. All of the pro teams, the pro esports teams are involved. So Atlanta FaZe, Atlanta Reign, Ghost Gaming, the Talon. The Atlanta Hawks are engaged. A few additional brands that have been announced since then that are also coming on board. Our friends at Community and the HBCU Esports League are engaged. Our friends at GameHers, which advocates for women in gaming, are engaged. It really is the most inclusive event of its kind, but it's also a first-year event. First-year events are tough. Like it takes time to build. So you're the group that needs to show up, and in order to do that, I'm giving you a free ticket if you act literally right now. I think there's about as many tickets as there are people in this room, no lie. If you go right now to this website, like literally do it now because it may not be available tomorrow, in the bottom corner, it says use package code. Ignore that. That's for something else. That's for group sales. Press the ticket you want, go through the cart, enter in Skillshot, GGDA, CECC, and that ticket should be free. And you can claim it, and you can come and see us. Do it now. We'll see you there. It'll be a good time. I'll open it up for a few minutes of questions, and then we'll hit our second panel. But what questions you guys have?
We've got one question already. What is the hardest thing about putting on an esports event?
Oh, my God. There's not a single easy thing, dude. The hardest thing. I would say, well, for a first-time event organizer, my main guidance, because sometimes people just don't realize this, the game publisher is very, very important. They wield the most power in the ecosystem. So if you're doing a modest event, most game publishers have what's called a community license on their webpage, and it tells you the parameters around which you can do it. If you're doing a big event like this, the first hard thing, and then there's a lot of other hard things. The first hard thing is getting the publisher to say, yes, you're actually approved to do an event at this scale that will have prizing, in the tens of thousands of dollars, that will have live competition. So that gets you to the starting line. And then the next hardest thing is probably wrangling players. They're never at the right place at the right time. So that was the hardest thing.
I got a GGDA question. How many volunteers are you looking for?
Oh, wow. My first ask is that you just come and get your butts in seats. And then after that, we could probably use around 25-ish volunteers. So it's a good question. I'll follow up with you after, but yeah, see him. Yeah, it's a lot of wrangling players. It's guest management. It's helping with security. It's not as much production, which you saw, just because that requires a set of experience. But it's mainly kind of event services in general. So security, wrangling players, maybe helping with an activation. I should mention, like, beyond. So it's in a basketball arena. You sit, you watch these college teams play, but we also have these other secondary activations. So again, it's our friends from GSEF are going to be running a Brawlhalla tournament and other things to be announced that are open to everyone. You don't have to be in college. You can just come and play. And there's going to be a Smash tournament from at least one provider and a few other activations there. So it'll be more of that festival vibe, not just esports. Maybe. We could do it. Yeah, we could potentially do it. Any other questions? If not, people can grab me afterwards. Oh, there was one. Yes. Yeah, 100%. So before the pandemic, Skillshot did the first Overwatch homestand here for the Reign. We did that complete activation. We've done all of the Hi-Rez professional matches. We will be doing, what can I say? Brawlhalla, there'll be things coming. And then also on the Ghost Gaming front, we kind of have some invitationals planned as well. And this venue where we're doing it, because we used to do a lot of events at Cobb Energy Center. This particular venue was also used by the Atlanta FaZe for their Call of Duty Pro event. That's been the one esports event to date at this venue, which also really helps kind of build the whole community, because back to that question, it's very hard to go into a venue the first time and do an event because the checklist of things that you think you need, they don't have, and then you still miss things on the checklist. So the discovery process of actually doing multiple events in venues around Atlanta or Georgia or the Southeast, that helps the next event organizer do it a little easier. All right. Okay.
You mentioned about the grading of sports and esports in general. What is esports doing to introduce this medium to older individuals?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, there's definitely some companies where that's their whole focus, and a lot of that is being done through corporate leagues. And that's one of the ways that we've got a lot of ideas and a lot of events that we're going to be announcing now that things are opened up. But we did a corporate event with Make-A-Wish, which was great, where teams fielded Fortnite squads on behalf of their company, and they kind of paid to participate, and all the money went to Make-A-Wish Georgia. And those sort of cause-based effects tend to appeal to older decision makers at brands who may not quite get it, but they like the cause give back nature. All right. Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's a little bit more. So on the Skillshot, it's a little professional development around tournament organization and production. On the Ghost side, and you can see Brandon with the hat and the shirt, if people have questions afterwards. So that's really where we'll be looking at new talent development around content creators and players. And just to give you kind of the full story there, because you saw the space, it's brand new, it's a work in progress. So Ghost was a brand that was built in Los Angeles a few years ago, We really liked the brand. We moved it to Atlanta and put the operations here next week. We've got some of the YouTubers that are very, very big for Ghost coming to market next week or the following week. We've got our Valorant team coming to train in market. So we're putting a big focus on this local area, getting more experienced people here, and then around some of those experienced people, we can start doing programs that are focused on kind of talent development. We're also working really, really early, and if any partners want to join us in this, we did build out a couple schools this year with Esports Labs, Skillshot, and Ghost, putting computers in a middle school and a high school, which is the very early side of talent development, basically. So, all right, I'm done. Let's let the other people talk. Thanks.
Yeah, he's leaving that up there for a suspiciously long time. I have a feeling they're all done already. All right. Brandon, thank you for already being introduced. And Tiger Lily and Gina from Eastside Esports. Come on up, and we'll get 2 more chairs up here. Yeah, you on the live stream can bear with us while we set up. There you go. I love a guest who brings their own chair. Let's put it in your inventory. You'll never notice it's there. Now we need the front light. No, I need you.
It's for the
It's not for them.
Don't worry, guys. We didn't forget about you. I love you.
It's all about me.
Actually, we can probably just. Yeah, hand the microphone. Yeah. Oh dear. Do you want to go first?
I'll hold it.
Do you want to go first?
I don't know
Sure.
if there's a
What are we doing? Just bios, intros?
Intros? Oh.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Thanks. This is way better than talking to kids.
Yeah, it's so. Just one switch. Take that light.
They like to interrupt and tell you about
I can talk to adults all day.
I'll handle the kids.
Everyone pick up your cell phone.
See you toddler because those screens.
Is it that switch on the wall right there?
Give it a try.
That
We'll
light
find
switch?
out.
Perfect. Zero, zero, zero. Yeah, for real.
screen. You'll be completely backlit and washed out. Hey, Wes, Wes, can you check the camera for me? Wes, can you check camera for me? Somewhat centered. All right. Back into the darkness. Beautiful. Advertising behind us the whole way. That is our middle name. So, yeah, we'll use the backlight. We are so hip, we need no lights in front of us. So, thank you for joining us again. I know you didn't tune away at all because we're so exciting up here. But I do want to introduce our three speakers. Actually, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But I want to introduce our topic because a lot of people think that esports success is just for the players, and it is not. There are a lot of people succeeding in esports alongside the players, helping them, being in other roles, and sometimes not even involved with them at all, their own streams, their own events, and so forth. So I'm very glad to have three excellent speakers doing very different things and involved in events and involved in esports. So I'll start by passing around the mic to all of you and then give each of you a chance to talk about who you are and what you do. So let me get you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll bring it back to Brandon to kick off, and we'll end up with questions. And Tiger Lily, you're usually the person I throw to for a moderator. So if you feel like throwing that role and just asking questions, please do. You're the best at that. All right, Brandon, let's do an introduction.
I'm Brandon Pisner. I'm from Buffalo, New York originally. I relocated to Atlanta for Ghost Gaming. I am the professional player corraller, as Todd was referring to earlier. I basically work with talent and professional players, organize activations in Atlanta as well as events locally. So some pretty exciting stuff in the office and all that you guys saw. You watching, I didn't, but the people here saw it. I'm kind of spearheading of all that stuff.
Thanks, Brandon. I'm Gina Dawson. I launched a youth recreational esports league in Rockdale County. We are finishing up our first season. We had 2 varsity kids that are in a high school age and 7 middle schoolers playing all kinds of different games. And we're focused more on the educational piece and the community side of esports. We haven't dove into the competitive play yet, but they want to compete, but we're definitely focusing on education with health and wellness, game development, scholarships for college and things like that, and getting the parents educated on the esports industry as well.
I go by Tiger Lily. It's my online call sign, is what I like to call myself. I'm a brand ambassador. So I love video games. It's been in my life for a while, but I'm not competitive in a sense where I can keep up. So I've ended up going down the brand ambassador and influencer route where I still play games. I bring to light the passions and even in the game development world of things that are coming up. So I like to say I see myself where a lot of development is happening. So when we say that we're starting something up, like I'm there, I want to be there, I want to help. And I've been in so many groups using Access Replay on board. They're the ones that really started to believe in me. And the best way to say is I got my experience through Access Replay and then through DreamHack, GGDA, and even Skillshot. So I'm really glad to be here on stage with everybody, and since I'm moderator, I guess I'll pick a question for you guys. I just want to start with the most obvious question, which was, what inspired you to pick up your role? Because, for you, for example, with kids, do you have your own? Was it, is that how it started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a gamer since my dad had an Intellivision at our house back in the day, and my brother started programming games on a Commodore 64-138, if you know what that is. And so I've been in the gaming world forever. I remember leaving Super Mario Brothers on all night because we couldn't save, and we didn't want to lose our where we were. And I now have 4 children of my own. My eldest got offered a scholarship at Milligan College to play, $30,000 to play Rocket League at Milligan College. Then COVID hit and we weren't able to follow through with all of that. But his love of the sport and his diagnosis of autism at the age of 19 really helped inspire me, because the esports has been such an inclusive industry for him. When he's home and gaming, he's so alive. And when we go to conferences like PAX next week, I'm taking him to Boston. That's where he really just comes out of his shell, and he's a totally different person, and he's so included and inviting. This industry has just been great. So I started Eastside Esports for middle school and high school kids in my area to create that community for them. And we had one kid who's about 8 years old who came to me at the end of season 1 now and said, "This is so great. I actually get to game with other kids who I actually know. I know them in real life." And it's really been a really great experience for him.
Okay, so my story is not nearly as interesting as that. Basically, I played Xbox a lot, like in like middle school, high school with friends. I really liked gaming. I had some friends who went professional, and some are in the CDL, which is the professional Call of Duty league at this point. Like 3 or 4 of them. I was never good enough, so those who can't play coach, those who can't coach manage, right? So I quickly learned my place in the esports industry. I went to college for accounting. Quickly realized being a CPA wasn't what I wanted to do in life. It didn't sound that fun to me. No offense to anybody here has that background. So I quickly figured that out. I got a normal job at like a real estate development company, doing some analysis stuff. At that time, I started a merchandising company where I worked with a lot of like Instagram and Twitter influencers. That really took off for me, and I kind of left my day job to focus on that. And then I met Todd and Andrew, who was another one of the owners involved in Ghost, and they offered me a position, and I was like, sure, I'll do it, kind of like a part-time through COVID thing. And they offered me the opportunity for myself and Chris, who's sitting over there, to move down here and be more involved locally. And I mean, why not? I'm 25. I'll take some risks in life, right? So now I'm here with everybody, and it's great. It's been super fun so far, and way better than doing anything in the accounting world. So, but that's my story.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the biggest change for a lot of us, is taking the leap into either full-time esports or full-time content creation. There's just so much of the struggle, and that was something I went through. I moved from Oregon to Georgia, and my quality of living, because in Oregon everything costs way more, so out here I was able to do more. And I decided to make the leap of faith. I decided to go full-time content creation. So that's the scariest thing for a lot of us. And luckily, going to events like this, this is the best suggestion I can make to anybody that's interested in starting in esports, is come to these events, meet people. You're going to find mentors that are amazing, like Andrew, like Todd, like Wes in the back with Skulls. There's a lot of individuals here that want to see you succeed, and if they see you putting in the hard work, they'll put their faith in you, which is my biggest bit of advice. I shot for the moon is the best way to describe it as a streamer. Like, I had big goals for myself. I really wanted to be a Twitch streamer. I want to be partnered, top of the page. But even though I strove for that and I didn't make it, I still can, but I still haven't made it yet. I landed amongst the stars. I hit Facebook partnership. I have up to 8 partners in Atlanta alone that will back me up and support me in ways like give me contracts. I got to eat too. But I'm a creative gamer. I have a very specific voice and brand, and having a bunch of people believe in me makes me very happy. Like, right now, I actually have my first job. It's with Ant Online. They are new to the scene. They're a tech company, but we are now focusing on esports. So today is my first day actually mentioning the company, Ant Online. But my goal is to do what we did with Newegg, where we have a host and we can talk about the tech, we can talk about the esports, we can bring a bunch of people onto a podcast. And I never thought I would get here. I thought I would just be sitting at home playing video games all day, but there's just so much work behind the scenes that I've had to go through. And so that, that's the topic of the panel. It's just everybody else in the esports scene. So my next question, let me think of it. So I saw the back of your shirt. It says gamer mom.
I'm gamer mom.
This might go out to a lot of the parents in the crowd. As a gamer mom, what are your struggles with having kids in esports and running a group? What is the struggle for me? It was, I shot for the moon and I missed it, obviously. So
that is a good question. We're just finishing up season 1. I have my oldest son who's in esports and really loves it, and I support his lifestyle. I honor his schedule, and know that, I make sure that he's, getting what he needs. But it's different. It looks different. It's not a 9 to 5. So we definitely honor that in our household with him. And then with my youngers, playing games coming up, just supporting. So I have 4 kids, boy, girl, and the 2 younger ones, supporting them, but also setting boundaries for them. But not in, oh, you're playing too many games. We're not bringing that negative. And I talk to a lot of parents whose kids come over to our house, and I'm like, oh, your kid plays Roblox, right? Like, we can play Roblox. They said no Roblox in our house, and I said, okay, we'll honor that when your child's at our house. No Roblox, that's fine. So just making sure that you're keeping up with those boundaries with the kids, but also being super supportive and talking to the parents about it too. Like, hey, we own an esports league, we support gaming in our house, but we also educate the kids as well. So we're getting them educated in what is esports. When I first started marketing for Eastside Esports, I would go to like a fall festival and I'd walk up to a kid, totally stereotyping my demographic, but I'd go up and be like, hey, you like playing video games, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, we're doing an esports league here in Rockdale County. And they'd be wide-eyed, like, that's so exciting. All of a sudden the parents looking at me going, who are you and how have you gotten my child's attention? Like, they want to talk to you. And I tell the parent what it's all about, and that's how we've kind of grassroots gotten this going.
I don't have children.
Oh,
sorry. I need my own boundaries when it comes to gaming. That's my only feedback I have. Yeah, no Roblox in my household. Well, it's not very hard. It's like 8 feet of snow on the ground in Buffalo, 6 months a year, so Atlanta's beautiful. Yeah, no, but I don't know. I believe in like what the vision that Todd presented to me, and I think I came in November and I went to 2 of the schools that we built out. I did a panel at one of them, and just like, I joke and say talking to kids is hard, but I really enjoyed the feedback and like knowing that when I grew up, like, my parents discouraged video games. Like, I played baseball, volleyball, and bowled for a little bit, but I did a bunch of other things and I wasn't allowed to really play games. So being able to talk to kids, or even like college age, and like explain like, hey, like, you can get a degree in marketing or a degree in accounting and still be in the gaming space. Like, you don't have to just be the pro player, the next ninja. You can be whoever, and you can be Johnny off the street and get a job somewhere. Like, and Todd does a great job of that with the Georgia Film Academy stuff and training people and onboarding them into Skillshot a lot of the time. So I believed in that, and I was like, I'm young and I got some time to make choices in life, and I think this is a really good choice. So I just did it. Why not?
Our 5-year goals. I feel like that's a great question. So, where you're at now, you got past the struggles, you're owning it. You're both bosses, honestly, from what I've heard so far. Where do you see you and your content or your brand or your groups? Where do you see yourselves in the next 5 years?
That's a really good question. I was actually talking to a potential corporate sponsor today for our team, and she looked at me and I got chills when she said it. She said, I could really see Eastside Esports going national. Like, people could know your name, know this league. And I was like, do you really think that could happen? Like, I'm not sure, but that would be really cool. Let's see what we can do. And I got the chill bumps, and I was like, gosh, I work full time. I'm raising 4 kids and I'm running this league. And if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about it. I could talk about esports all day long. And my boss knows that this is happening too. And he's like, hey, in the next couple of years, if the league's really taking off and you need to step back on your duties, we could talk about that. So being honest and open with my current employer, and just being open to the possibility that this could really be a big thing. And there's room in the industry for it too. Like, there's not, that was the one thing that was so encouraging to me when I started this. I was like, there is room for what I want to grow in the space where everything else is already blowing up. So I was excited about that.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a ton of like personal goals. I kind of like a day by day approach to life. I like the idea of like every day is a new day. Especially in esports, it's ever changing, and like every day there's something new, something to research, something to learn about. But as far as like Ghost goes, I think like the 5-year plan would just be like getting more involved in the communities, really being like embedded and being like an Atlanta United or the Hawks, where it's almost like synonymous with Atlanta and the local kind of bars and restaurants and gaming lounges, whatever, and and really representing the brand to the best of the capacity that I can do.
I would just love more events like this where everybody in the esports community just we're able to support each other, talk to each other, and be able to shake hands. Because when you go to these events, MomoCon, for example, is where I met Skillshot for the very first time. I was in a full Anna cosplay from Atlanta Reign because I love the team, and I can't wait for the next season to start up. But, that was the first time I saw the whole production, and it really just blew my mind because it was beautiful, but when you're there at the event, you can't actually talk to a mentor. You can't connect with anybody. You really have to wait until after or beforehand. So it's just really nice to have these type of meetings where we can get together, and this is your chance to say hello and ask questions. So at any time, I'm going to just open it up while we're talking. So if you have a question to all three of us or one of us, just raise your hand and we can answer as we go forward. It gives us more things to answer because honestly, there's only so much we can talk about because, we love esports, and even with game development and up to the competitive play and helping kids, and the age differences of everything. I would say my audience is definitely between the ages of 18 up to 45, but as I'm moving more into the gaming scene and making content for Microsoft, for example, a lot of their clientele are children, right? They're 6 to 7. So that's a whole new space for me to learn, and it's interesting to get to know people that are able to be around different age groups like that. So, and for you, do you like the youth?
Yes, I like the youth. I really enjoy working with kids. As a parent, some of you may agree with this, that it's easier to work with other people's kids than it is your own children. So I really enjoy working with the kids and listening to them. They'll interrupt you and tell you some random story. So I give them the space and the time to do that at the end of our evenings. We're doing virtual through Discord right now, but we do have a space that we're going to get into soon, which is really exciting. But at the end of our evening play, I just kind of open it up and be like, hey, what's going on in y'all's lives? What do you want to talk about? And they're like, oh, I have a basketball game, or, something happened at school or whatever. So you just give them that space to tell you all those fun stories. But I love working with kids. I just love the esports industry and how inclusive it is, because I'm even getting people that are over the age of 18. Some of my kids are aging out of the varsity league. They're turning 18 and they're graduating from high school, and they want to keep playing. And so without going pro, maybe creating an amateur space for them as well. So I'm looking into opening up an 18 and up amateur league as well, just to kind of keep them involved in the community and keep them going. Do you like the youth?
I like the youth. Depends. Sometimes I have no kids of my own, as far as I'm aware. But no, it is great though. You see the impact you have. We have a lot of our YouTubers in our organization are the ages of 18 through 26 usually. Some of the guys that are moving here next month don't have driver's licenses and don't know how, but they sit in their bedrooms and make hundreds of thousands of dollars playing video games, right? So it's it gives me a big brother vibe where I can kind of help, hey, you gotta be an adult, you gotta get up and shower, basic activities. It seems basic, but it's not. And the other aspect of it is a lot of these guys who are 18, 19, 20 have fans who are, like you're saying, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, and we have Discord events and things like that, which Todd is very persistent about us doing, and it's great. And we get a lot of younger people in there playing with our creators, and it's they don't realize how valuable they are to these younger kids. They know they watch their videos, but they don't realize the impact they have. So when I can sit in a Discord and play Fortnite with a group of kids, and we can see them interacting with their favorite YouTuber for a little bit, it's it really makes us real full circle and wholesome. And I do like the youth. Yeah.
These kids know who these people are too. We're walking around a conference and my kid will see someone and they're like, that's so and so, and I'm like, who? But they know who this person is, and they know all about them, and they know they've watched all their videos multiple times. And kids used to say, oh, when I grow up I want to be president, or I want to be a veterinarian, and now they're like, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a streamer, I want to be a gamer. And you used to not hear that, and now that's what's out there now. So it's really cool.
And my advice is, if you do hear that from your kids, it's totally okay. They won't be a doctor, they won't be a police officer, but there are jobs that have really great salaries for these positions. And if they want to be a YouTuber, what they're trying to say is they want to get into film. So you really need to listen to your children and see their personalities. They want to be a gamer, they want to be a streamer, but you have to look behind the scenes on how to get them there. So I wouldn't squander the dreams. I would look into how
what that looks like.
exactly open the doors for them. So
They want to be a vet, but they don't realize what all that means either.
right, that I was going to be a marine biologist, and then I was going to work in marketing, and then I fell back on information technology. So I went from IT to streaming, and now I'm a brand ambassador. But it was a long lesson, and a lot of our kids these days now have the tools to help them get there. And that's not just our mentors, but online as well. You have your Collegiate system set up, so that way we're able to progress forward and all that. So it's really more or less figuring out what your children are into. Are they creative? Are they leaders? That leads into community management and all that. So if you were to meet someone that was interested in what you were doing, like for me, for example, how to be a brand ambassador, what advice would you provide? If a mom came up to you as like, my kids are interested, or someone came up to you as like, I want to be a content creator, I want to get into community management, like Ghost Esports is so cool. What would be your advice to anybody that just approached you and asked that question?
So if a parent came up and said, my kid really wants to play video games like professionally, I would plug them into the resources that I know exist and say, then you need to deep dive into this as much as you would any other interest that your child had. Your kid wants to play soccer, and there's opportunities for high school soccer, collegiate soccer, scholarship soccer, professional soccer. Same with esports. Get plugged in, talk to the people, and learn as much about it, and let them learn as much about it. And if it keeps their interest for the long run, and they're still into it, and they still want to play collegiate esports, just the way the kid wanted to do collegiate soccer, be there for them. Go to the games, be supportive, and just learn as much as you can about it, so that you can help your kid. Same as you would go out in the field and throw the ball around. I had my son build me a gaming computer so that I could get online and play games with him. I'm not very good. I'm gamer mom, but I don't play a lot of video games. But I have a computer and I can log in and I can play, and we're on Discord and we're on Twitch and we're talking to each other and we're playing, he's upstairs and I'm downstairs and we're doing the thing. So just get as involved as you can and figure out what it's all about.
That's good advice. I'd probably recommend the same concept, but not the parent doing it, the actual person looking to get a job. Like, it's like literally I dreamed of getting a paid job in esports. I worked a lot for free for probably 5 or 6 years. Like, it was a grind. Like, we went to, I don't know, probably 10 events in my lifetime, like PAX East, Call of Duty events, whatever. And it's literally just making friendships, interacting, like, sometimes taking the not paid job leads to $1,000 a month and $3,000, and then you have a full-time career, and there's never really like boundaries to that, right? You guys gotta really dive into it, learn what you want to learn about, and just be passionate about it. And esports is a grind. Like, it's definitely, like, if you could choose a career, it's definitely the one you put the most hours in. So if you're not willing to put the hours in, it's going to be hard for you. But if you do, like I always say, like, there's always results at the end of it to some extent. If you just put the hours in, make the right connections, talk to the right people, and just constantly go at it and care about it. But that's pretty much, college helps too a little bit, but
Yeah, that cliche, you never work a day in your life when you're having fun with what you do. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would own a youth recreational esports league, but I love it, and I could literally talk about it all day. And I work my 9-to-5 job, which isn't really 9 to 5. Got a kind of cool job, but I work my day job and I get a great paycheck, and then I get to do this for fun, and it's the most amazing thing in the world.
I love to hear that. I think for me, the biggest advice I would give anybody is, first off, if you're going to try to be a social media manager, brand ambassador, or content creator, is to stay in your own lane and not get discouraged by anyone else on the internet doing what they're doing. That has nothing to do with you unless you're collabing with them. But one of the things that I think really hinders a content creator is making their own like their blocks in their own mind, where you would see somebody else just excelling at what you're trying to do. Don't let that discourage you. Just keep doing it, and then move on to your next project. You might end up working for 5 years for free. I spent about 3 years doing a lot of volunteer work myself, but what it does is it gives you experience, and anybody out there that is watching you will see that, and as you grow, they will see that, and they might even hire you down the line. So stay in your own lane, don't get discouraged, and just keep pumping out content. And always be learning. I like that one. Always be learning. So is there any questions from the crowd before I ask? Oh, we have one. Yes, sir. That's a great question. Yes. I was working on it. But what the question was, how do you deal with imposter syndrome as you continue down your line of work? You know, I went through that today, actually, trying to just go over just my resume or my experience so I'd have something to talk about with everybody. But, you know, I look back the past 3 years and I can't believe half the work I've done. I can't believe half the people I've got to meet. I've got to meet with work with Harris Heller. Bradley, he's RNGesus. He's an emo on Twitch. It's crazy the amount of things that you do while you're working. You don't realize it until later that you've been doing something really amazing, and you should own that. Don't let the imposter syndrome kick in, and especially if you hit that 3-year mark of doing whatever it is you're working on, like that's experience. You're now like a seasoned veteran in it. You know, you're owning it.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I could see how someone looking in could be like, how is this lady running a youth esports league? She's never, done anything like that before. But I do consider myself like a subject matter expert. And if I don't know the answer, I know how to find resources to find the answer. And no, I've never owned an esports league before, but I think I know enough about the industry to get a business going. And I've gotten kids signed up, and the parents have been really happy with what we've been doing. And the community is really supportive. The Board of Commissioners had to approve my vendor contract with the Parks and Recreation in Rockdale County. So I've gotten some pretty cool people behind me saying she knows what she's doing. Go do business with her.
I don't think I've ever suffered from imposter syndrome because I don't really reflect and think about what I've done or really look back because it kind of scares me to so much time. I'm being honest, it's so much time passes so quickly. I kind of get a little anxiety about it. So I can't say I've ever looked back and been like, wow, I'm glad I did this or that. I kind of just every day, like I said, every day is kind of a new day. I mean, that might not be the answer everyone wants to hear, but it's what it is. I just keep pushing forward, and every day is a new day. And the past situations, whatever you succeeded or did well, it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't impact me moving forward too much. I kind of just looking forward.
You had a question as well? I think it's going to grow exponentially, at least within the next 5 years. Just moving to Atlanta, especially if we continue to grow this space, this hub, it's going to explode. And in the next 10 years, Atlanta alone is probably going to be throwing its own competitions. I don't know anything about money. Don't ask me about that, but maybe these two can help you. But that's my opinion. And I'm just really glad to be here at the beginning to see the roots being planted.
Yeah, I definitely agree. 10 to 20 years from now, I think the right people are in place right now. Brown nosing a little bit. I think all the right people are in the right place right now, especially here in Atlanta, to get it organized. You think about an industry like, I don't know, maybe the food industry. There's organization around it. Everybody has their little niche. Everybody has their things that they're good at. I think the esports industry could be exactly like that. And within 10 to 20 years, I see it kind of settling, but into a nice, organized, machine that it's going to work really well together.
Yeah, I think you guys both pretty much nailed it. I mean, I think that the growth was going to continue. Like the more things like this happen, like this probably wouldn't have been a thing 10 years ago, right? So or even 5 years ago. Like my high school never did anything esports related, or never really did anything for the kids. So I think like the more that schools are understanding the correlation in esports and education, like the more it'll grow, and it's gonna skyrocket. Like it's just bound to happen. People love video games, and it's too fun not to love them.
Yeah.
So, and more keep coming out every 30 seconds. So it's like it's infinite.
Yeah, that's a good point. And once it's in the schools, now that it's in the schools, and once it's in more schools, you know, they're not going to want to stop doing it. They're going to go to college, they're going to go into their adult careers, and they're not going to want to stop doing what they love. So it's going to be there forever.
Yeah, it's a whole new career, and I love it. We're opening up to it, and with the metaverse, it's like video games is already in it. No one's really labeled it yet, but video games is metaverse too. Yes. Yeah, I get to go first. So she was asking, what's the benefit of having your kids join an esports team? It's just like a team. It's a little family, Usually with the coach, you have to see if she's going to answer this. I'm going to try my best to go as fast as I can. But it's the synergy, right? And it's the little family. I had a soccer team in middle school up to high school, and I was in band. And without those two groups, I wouldn't be who I am today, And I have a gaming community that I game with every night. We play New World, we play Call of Duty, and I've known them for 6 years now because I've been streaming that long. Like, this is my little family. Like, even if it's not competitive gameplay, it's still a group of people that you talk to, or you can confide in, or you grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. These kids are going to be learning skills that they're not going to learn on a soccer field. When we get into our space, being able to set up those computers, being able to log into these applications, being able to stream so that their family across the United States and the world even can watch them game, even just play with their friends. I think back to when my son used to play I don't even remember what it was now, but when my eldest was younger, it was like his friends were at our house every day because they're gaming through the system and dude, bro. But it was like his friends were at our house every day, and they're learning these relationship skills and learning how to communicate with each other and learning how to strategize and learning analytics. They're learning so many things through esports that they're not going to learn on a football field. Now they're learning similar things, and creating that community is what I want to do with Eastside Esports League, is to make sure that they know that they have somebody they can come to talk about when life gets hard, when they confront a bully, or when they just don't feel like they're enough, that they have a community that they can talk to, because sometimes talking to parents is hard, and if they have those coaches, those adults in their life that they can reach out to and that they trust because they gamed with them, then I'll be there for that.
Yeah, I mean, I played through school. I played baseball, like I said, baseball, volleyball, and I played baseball all the way through my first 3 years of college, and I got hurt. But gaming was always my actual passion. But again, my parents didn't support it, so it was kind of one of those let's not talk about it type things. But my friend Chris sitting over there, I mean, we met through Xbox 8 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, and I'd never met him in person before. We went to an event together, and now he's one of my lifelong friends, right? So it's if I didn't have, I have friends of it, but if I didn't have Xbox and online and whatever else, I would never have met him. I have probably 30 people in my life I talk to daily and know my family, interact and go to events and travel. I'm sure the same with you as well. People from California and Canada and Europe, everywhere. And I wouldn't meet them if I didn't play games competitively. Now, high schools didn't offer esports, but from my experience online, that's what kind of did it. I imagine high school would be or middle schools would be the same thing, just concentrated in your community.
Yeah, I was a wallflower in high school myself, and gaming was my escape. And when you escape and you meet someone there, they become your best friend, so. Any other questions? Oh, Andrew.
Yeah, so your jobs didn't exist 10 years ago. What do you do each day? What actual things do you do at work? And how often do you have any come up with whole new solutions to whole new problems.
I'm building my job still, I think. Brand ambassador, production. I'm a one-man team right now with the support of my company, Ant Online. So for me, I struggle most days taking care of the business I work for and then myself. So I'm technically doing 2 jobs a day. So every day I wake up, I go straight into the office, I take care of business, I strategize, I plan, I contact, or stream, and then I zoom home through the Atlanta traffic to make sure I make it to my own stream on time, because consistency is important. That's when people are looking for you. They'll know you'll be online, and I make sure to be there. And when I go live, everyone is there. So it's a lot of planning is in my line of work, a lot of strategizing, a lot of just hyping people up, I feel. So between checking my social media every 2 seconds, I know they say it's unhealthy, but it's just part of my day, and I enjoy doing it. So that's mainly, I could tell you what games I play, but there's no point.
I think that last bit was the point of it, though. You enjoy doing it, and that really is the most important part. I enjoy doing it too. I work a full-time job. I do the league business work whenever I can fit it in. I make it a priority, and I talk about it all the time. I was at a doctor's appointment today, and the girl checking me in had a really cool tattoo that I was like, "You're a gamer." I can tell you're a gamer. And we started talking about gaming, and she took my card, and she's gonna talk up the league with people that she knows. So it's just networking all the time, and talking about it all the time, and keeping it in a positive light, and learning everything you can, and being able to be flexible, and compromise, and finding all the balance in it too.
Yeah, I think I probably have a similar answer to kind of what yours was, where it's like I run my own business as well as do Ghost. Ghost is my priority most days, but I start about 10 o'clock in the morning, usually 9:30ish, and I'm probably work on and off till 10, 11 o'clock at night, whether it's on the phone, constant networking, calling with somebody. Esports, pretty much your job every day is just solving new problems. Every day there's something that arises, you got to find a solution quickly, and you got to figure it out. Same with my business, and it's just constantly managing and appeasing and showing people different ways to do things, and it's just never-ending networking and conversation.
Oh yeah, lots of networking.
2 more online questions for
Oh.
Eastside Esports.
Ooh. You get the mic.
What games are your players playing?
Okay. The question was, what game are my kids playing? And we started out with our 8 to 12-year-olds doing Minecraft and Fortnite. I had 2 kids playing Fortnite. They got some victory royales a couple times when they were playing, so that was really exciting. And the Minecraft, my husband's helping with the business as a coach as well, and he's using the Minecraft education stuff that's out there to challenge the kids to do different things, and the first person that can do a build or whatever. And then one of the 12-year-olds came to me with a presentation on why we should also include Roblox, and she had all of her arguments ready to go, and so we started playing Roblox as well. We didn't have a coach for that, so I had to learn how to play Roblox, and I was a total noob. So but they taught me, and we did parkour challenges and things like that, try to escape out of the jail the fastest and whatnot. And then my varsity kids are playing Apex Legends. We do have interest in Rocket League, Smash Brothers, and things like that as well. But as we grow and morph into that, it kind of depends on where their interest lies, where the kids' interest lies, and also the developers and how we can play the games. That they came to me and said we want to play, Smite or something like that. I'd be like, well, we got to find out how we can do that, if we can do that, and work with Hi-Rez and all the different places to make sure that that's legit. But there's lots of rules around all the different games, so I'm very aware of that and making sure that we're doing everything legitimate.
Last question for Eastside is, are you incorporating streaming?
We will, yes. We have not done that yet, but we will once we get into our space and we have access to more equipment. It's there. We're going to be at Johnson Park in Conyers, Georgia, and we will have the space and the equipment to stream. Right now, all the kids are just at home on their computers and on their PlayStations and on their Switches and whatnot. So we haven't dove into that side of it, but we will.
That's awesome. Any more questions? Ooh, I have a hand.
Yeah, I have 2 questions.
I wouldn't have any input. Do you?
So the question, repeat your question.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what the best way to use college to get into esports would be.
So how to use college, your experience at college, to get into the esports industry.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a media and entertainment major right now because
Mhm.
that seems most broad. I'm not, there's not like an esports major.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a good way to use college to get into esports somehow, even though there's not like a clear major.
Yeah, I think you're doing it. I think you're in the right place. Coming to things like this, being plugged in, talking to your college professors that are doing the esports classes and the media classes, asking them where's the networking opportunities, and talking to the right people. Showing up, asking questions, putting your hand out and saying, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. It's nice to meet you. I would really like to work in the industry. What do you do?" And just really networking, going to conferences if you can. I know they can get expensive, especially traveling to them, but DreamHack is here in Atlanta, hopefully coming back this year. Haven't heard yet, but I volunteer at DreamHack. I volunteered for 2 years before COVID hit, and I did it because my son wanted to be involved, and I said, well, I want to get behind the scenes and find out what that means. So I volunteered at DreamHack. You get to go for free, you get behind the scenes, you get to talk to people, and so doing things like that will really get you in the right place, and one day you'll get that job offer. You have no idea.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I volunteered DreamHack Indie Stage,
Yeah.
and that's what got me camera experience, being in front of a camera and being able to talk. So you really just have to reach out to the individuals in the line of work you're really into, So if you're into media, you want to find someone like Nate back there who also is into media and be like, "Yo, bro, what's up?" And start that.
The other question, if y'all care about it, I was thinking, what do y'all think about the possibility of like VR esports? Do you think that's possible?
He's asking if VR esports will be a thing. It's the metaverse. Of course, I don't know yet. It really depends. I mean, if a school, if a group, if a hub decided to put together and everyone thought it was fun to watch, that's esports.
Yeah, I definitely think virtual reality games could become competitive for sure. I feel like they would work a lot the same way. You would stream it, and people wouldn't necessarily. You would be playing in virtual reality, but you would be, everybody would see your gameplay, so it would look the same.
I think it already exists. Like, I think people are already competing at a level with virtual games. I know these guys are big about it. They had talked to me for about 20 minutes, 15 minutes earlier. But no, I do know there are some people. I don't think it's like as organized like Counter-Strike or Valorant or something on the lines of that. But it's definitely there, at least at a community level. And every esport that starts at a community level that builds fandom, like a Smite, for example, it was a mass. Like it wasn't the largest game, but it had an insane dedicated community to it, and they fell in love in like every aspect of it. I think VR will probably fit that same mold where it'll be a very dedicated, semi-casual-ish community until it reaches a point where it turns into a hyper-competitive space. But anything that rushes into a hyper-competitive space usually doesn't work too great. So if VR wants to live, they should start grassroots and really community build first before they go crazy.
Yeah, if that's something you want to do, then do it. Start it. Get your friends together. Stream it. Make it happen.
Atlanta actually is a big hub for iRacing, and they use VR headsets to practice. Any others? I like how I say that. Anyone? Yay.
Is that VR racing, is that for drones or is that gaming? Does it have VR drones?
That'd be cool, but no, it's for gaming. Most of the iRacing community, they have like rigs and they practice, and all the tracks are almost exactly the same. They're like 0.99 off, but like exactly the same as the racetracks. And so what they're doing is they're actually practicing simulations.
Nice.
Yay, I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, chat. You guys are amazing.